welcome to my craft room. I'm Leo from inkymemories.co.uk. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator based in South Wales in the UK, and today on this simple Saturday we are going to be making these beautiful gift tags using the new Lovely You bundle in the new annual catalogue. So it can be found in the catalogue here on page 22 and 23. So the bundle is over here. As you can see, this is a stamp set and punch bundle. As it is a bundle, it does come with a 10% discount if you buy the bundle together, as opposed to buying the two pieces separately. And the project that we're making today is actually a case from the annual catalogue, and it is this project down here. Now I've actually been using this to send out with my annual catalogues to my customers. It introduces the new in colours for 2020 to 2022. I'll just pull those in here. So we have 5 new colours. We have Just Jade, Cinnamon Cider, Magenta Madness, which is a really awesome blue pink and it is very, very bright. Bumblebee, which is a nice sort of soft yellow, and Misty Moonlight. And we're going to be using all 5 of these colours today. The bundle itself then, as I said, is a stamp set and punch bundle. So this is the stamp set, Lovely You. As you can see, it is a cling stamp set and it features a number of different sentiments, as well as some foliage and floral flourishes, try saying that 3 times quickly, which helps add some dimension and interest to your product. And the punch itself is this. This is the Lovely Labels Pick a Punch. And as you can see, this is slightly different from our standard punches in that it has 2 channels in the front and it actually punches 2 separate types of shapes. And there are 3 sizes that you can actually do in each. So this will produce 6 types of tags. I've got some examples pre-punched, so I'll just pull those in so you can have a look. So the punch itself has 2 different types of tags. You've got a more sort of scalloped edge and a more square edge. And like I said, it does do 3 different sizes. So the first size is 2.5 centimetres, which is 1 inch. The medium piece then is 1.9 centimetres, which is 3/4 of an inch. And then the smaller piece is 1.3 centimetres, which is 1/2 inch. And I've punched these out on both types for you. So this is the more sort of scalloped edge and the square edge here in all 3 sizes. And these are designed to layer together. So you can build up card fronts or gift tags or other types of projects using your sentiments and other images. And you can also mix and match the 2 types of punches if you want to. So you could have a sort of more scalloped background with a squarer middle and then a square sentiment over the top. So the project that we're going to be making today, as this is a simple Saturday, I have pre-cut all of the pieces that we're going to need. So first of all, we have the base here for the tag. This is in crumb cake. And this piece measures 12.5 centimetres by 7 centimetres. And the first thing that I'm going to do is to punch a hole in the top for the ribbon. And I'm going to do this using the Label Me Fancy punch here. Now as you can see, this punches a label shape and it also punches a hole or a slot for ribbon, and I'm going to be using the slot side on this. So I'm just going to open the punch up first of all. I'm just going to eyeball this. I haven't done any measuring or anything like that, so I'm just going to sort of roughly get this where I want it to be. So I've fed the cardstock into the side of the punch this time. I'm just making sure that it's come all the way through and then trying to eyeball it so it is roughly centered on the piece of card that I have. And once I'm happy with that, I'm just going to give that a punch. And there is the slot punched ready for a ribbon. I'm just going to pop that to one side. The next step then is to punch the pieces that we need for the sentiment, and we're going back to the Lovely Labels Pick a Punch for that. So I have 2 pieces punched already. This one is going to be for the back of the sentiment, and this piece measures 2.5 centimetres by 6.5. And I'm going to be using the square side of the punch. I'm just going to feed this into the channel. One of the things I would recommend when you are cutting your paper or your cardstock for this punch, with the dimensions that I gave you, the sort of different widths, just cut them ever so slightly thinner, so literally just a hair's width thinner than those sizes. That means it will slide easily into the channel for you to punch out your shapes. And what I like to do is just flip the punch over like this, just so I can make sure that the card has hit the end of the punch here, so it's nice and square, and that it is nicely lined up and will punch neatly with the shapes that we want. So once I'm happy that it is all lined up and square, just going to punch that piece. I'll turn my cardstock around and pop it back in and do the same again. So just making sure again that it's square on the end and that it's lined up across the middle of the punch. And once I'm happy with that, I'm just going to pop that. And then we have the background piece for our sentiment. And then this piece is going to be the piece that we stamp onto. So this one measures 1.9 centimeters, and I've actually just used a scrap of card, so I've not measured the length of this for a specific reason. I'll show you in just a moment. So again, I'm just going to feed this into the square side of the punch, flip it over and just make sure that it has lined up with the end and that it is nicely aligned across the punch so the shape punches nice and evenly on both sides. There we go. And I'm actually going to keep this small piece from the punch this time around, and I'll show you what we're going to do with that in just a moment. And the sentiment that we're going to be using today is Just Because, and I've already mounted this onto my clear block. And I'm going to be using, let's use cinnamon cider this time as our ink. So I'm just going to pop open my ink pad. I'm going to take my stamp over to my ink pad and just lightly tap onto the surface, so I can get that nicely inked up. We don't need to sort of push or smush the stamp into the ink, just light taps will do. Just double check it, make sure we've got ink all over the surface of the stamp where we need it to be. I'm going to align my piece of cardstock with my grid paper. It just helps to give you nice straight lines to look at and helps you to line everything up. And I'm going to be taking the stamp so that the end of the sort of curly loop for the B for because is as far over to this as I can. So I'm just going to line it up where I want it to be. And once I'm ready, just pop the stamp straight down onto the surface and lift straight back up. Now the reason I said to keep this part is specifically to do with stamping sentiment. So on this one, obviously I have put this quite far to the side, but say I wanted to centre the sentiment across a piece of cardstock. What I would suggest is you punch the first end, stamp your sentiment with the gap that you want to leave on this side, and then using this piece that was the sort of waste from the punch, lay this over the piece of cardstock, or the strip of cardstock I should say, that you've got, and move it until you are happy with the shape and you think you've got the sort of right spacing that you want for your sentiment. So I'm just going to shimmy this a little bit further over, and I think that looks about right. And then what I'm going to do is just pick up my strip of cardstock with the offcut still overlaid on it. And taking my snips, I'm just going to cut straight up that edge. We can get rid of that now. And then if we pop this back into the punch, we'll get it lined up, same as before, just making sure that it is nice and square on the end. Punch that through. And then your punch sentiment is nicely centered between the two sides. So again, I'm just going to pop that to one side. And the next thing to do is to stamp the coloured pieces of cardstock that we're going to be laying across the front of our tag. So I've got one in each of the new in colours, and these pieces measure 1.3 centimetres by 10 centimetres. And the stamps that we're going to be using are various of these sort of leaf and flower shapes that we have in the stamp set. So I'll start with cinnamon cider, since I already have that ink pad open. I'm just going to take these sort of flower buds on a stem And again, just lightly tap the stamp into the ink, make sure I've got ink all over the surface of my stamp. Pop it where I want it to be, press straight down and straight back up. I'm just going to repeat this all the way up this piece of cardstock. There we go, that's the first one done. The next colour then is Magenta Madness. And this time I'm using this flower stamp. I'm just going to do the same again, stamping all the way up the cardstock, rotating the flower. You can have it going off to one edge or the other. Just like so. Next up then, I'm going to be using Just Jade. And this time I'm going to be using this large sort of leaf spray stamp. And I shall keep stamping. The next colour then is going to be Bumblebee. And this stamp is just a spray of 3 leaves. And I shall stamp some more up this cardstock. The last colour then is going to be Misty Moonlight. And I'm using this stamp with lots of leaves on it. And this one, the curve in it makes me think that this could potentially be used for wreaths. That's something that I'm definitely going to be looking into. This stamp set and the punch itself has been on my craft table for a number of days now. I've been working with it on and off for a while. And there will definitely be more projects coming soon, featuring not only these gorgeous colours and the stamp set, but some other things too. Okay, that's all the stamping done for our colours, and in fact all of the stamping for our project full stop. The next thing that I'm going to be doing then is just punching both ends of these pieces of cardstock, again using the square side of the punch. Now that I have all of those pieces punched, it's time to assemble our tag. So I'm going to bring the base back in first of all. I'm going to arrange these across the front of the tag where I want them to go in the finished product. So I'm going to start with the Misty Moonlight piece over here. And give it a short border just down the side. I'm going to arrange these so they're all at slightly different heights across the tag. Just like so. And I want to just make sure that I have a fairly even border down both sides. In terms of gluing this down, there are a couple of different ways that you can do this. You can use Stampin' Seal, the adhesive tape runner, or if you prefer, you can use liquid glue. So this is our Tombow liquid glue multi-purpose. I would probably recommend that you do try with the Tombow first of all. It allows you that sort of little bit of wiggle room once you've put the piece down, just in case you do need to move anything. Whereas with the Stampin' Seal, once it's down, it is bonded. I'm just going to turn this slightly sideways. I find it easier to work from this direction. And what I'm going to do is glue the outside two pieces first of all, so I'll then lock in the rest of the pieces for us. So I'm just going to put a thin piece of glue down the full length of this strip, and then holding the other pieces in place where we've already rearranged them, I'm just going to butt this piece, the Misty Moonlight piece, up against it, making sure it's nice and straight. And then I'm going to do the same with this Just Jade piece. So again, just holding these in place, line this up and lay it into place, and then I'm going to glue the rest of these in. And there are our final pieces all glued in. So for the sentiments, I'm actually going to put these on dimensionals just to pop them up from the surface. So I just turn these over. I'm just going to put one dimensional at either end of these pieces. You don't need a lot. Now this tag would make a really cute bookmark. You could add it as a gift tag to a package that you were giving someone, or a nice present. You could even use it as the front for a card. If you then mounted this onto a card base, that would make a really pretty card as well. So there's lots of different things you can do just with this tag and the stamp set and the punch together. I'm finding them very versatile. I've made a lot of different types of projects with them already. I would say it's very beginner friendly, with it being a punch and a stamp set that has both sentiments and sort of design elements like the leaves and the flowers. There's a lot of different things that you can do with just the one stamp set and punch. Okay, so that's those nicely lined up and the front of our tag is finished. The next thing to do then is to pop the ribbon in. I've got a couple of different choices for ribbon here. So I have the in colour ribbon. I've got that in two colours here. So I have the magenta and the jade, and then I also have this really gorgeous gingham ribbon in Bumblebee, and I think I'm going to use this one for this card. So what I'm going to do, using the ruler at the bottom of my grid paper, I'm just going to measure myself 14 centimeters roughly of ribbon, and I'm going to double that up. I'm just going to feed the two ends through the slot that we punched onto the card base like so, and bring those all up together. And to hold these in place, we're going to be using some linen twine. I'm just going to take a short piece of this, we don't need too much. And what I found is easiest to do for this is to start your knot before you put the ribbon in. So get yourself your loop, feed your ribbon ends into the loop itself, and then bring your linen thread there we go. So just bring your linen thread down to the base of the ribbon, just at the top of the tag. Hold the ribbon in place and just pull this tight. Just like so. Once you're happy with the tightness on there, you can pull it all the way and then finish the knot. If you want to, you can then add a bow over the top of the knot once you've tied it. I'm going to leave it just like that and just slightly trim the tails. The last thing I'm going to do then is just to make sure that all of the ribbon ends are slightly cut at an angle. This helps to stop the ribbon fraying, so it'll stay looking nice on your project for a long time for you. And there is our finished tag. And there are the others that were already made earlier. I hope you've enjoyed this project using the lovely U bundle from the latest annual catalogue. If you're interested in buying any of these products or any of the tools I've used today, there will be links in the description below for you. If you are based in the UK and you're not currently shopping through a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you'd like a copy of our current catalogues, drop me a message, there will be a link below and I can get a copy straight out to you. If you have any questions or comments on the project that I've done today, please do pop them below and I'll be happy to help you out. Thank you again for watching and I'll see you next time.